Earth with rings, beautiful or catastrophic?
No!
What if Earth was surrounded by rings like Saturn? Imagine stepping outside tonight. You look up at the sky, and instead of an empty stretch of stars, you see a massive glowing band stretching across the heavens. A ring, not around another planet, but around Earth itself. A giant halo made of billions of pieces of rock and ice. It would make our world look like a miniature version of Saturn. The sky would never look the same again. But would Earth with rings be a breathtaking upgrade, or a global disaster waiting to happen? Planetary rings might look solid from far away, but they're not. They're actually made of countless small objects orbiting a planet. Some are as tiny as grains of dust. Others can be as large as houses or even mountains. The rings around Saturn are mostly made of water ice, mixed with rock and dust. Scientists believe these particles formed when moons, asteroids, or comets broke apart under gravity. Instead of crashing into the planet, the debris spreads out into a flat disk orbiting around it. If Earth had rings, they would likely form around our equator, creating a glowing belt around the planet. But what would those rings actually look like from the ground? The view would depend entirely on where you live. Near the equator, the rings would appear directly overhead, stretching from one side of the horizon to the other. Imagine a giant cosmic highway crossing the sky. During the day, sunlight would reflect off billions of particles, creating a bright white arc across the blue sky. At night, the rings might glow softly under moonlight and starlight. In fact, they could appear dozens of times larger than the moon. People living closer to the poles would see something different. The rings might appear as a thin glowing line near the horizon, almost like a permanent celestial rainbow. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station would see something even more spectacular.
Yes!
They could actually fly alongside the rings, watching billions of icy fragments drifting through space. But these rings wouldn't just change the sky. They would also change the light reaching Earth. At certain times of the year, Earth's rings could block sunlight. Massive shadows would sweep across parts of the planet. Some regions might experience cooler temperatures as sunlight becomes partially blocked. Others could experience strange lighting conditions.
No!
Imagine a day where sunlight passes through billions of icy particles, turning the sky slightly golden or hazy. Some scientists believe ring shadows could even shift global climate patterns. Rainfall zones might move, temperatures could change, but that's not the only effect rings could have. Rings aren't perfectly stable. Tiny pieces of debris constantly collide with each other. Over time, some fragments would slowly fall toward Earth. That means meteor showers could become far more common. Instead of rare shooting stars, we might see dozens every night. The atmosphere would burn up most of these particles before they reach the ground. But occasionally, larger pieces could survive. Which means meteor impacts could become more frequent. Scientists and space agencies might need powerful monitoring systems to track falling debris. But surprisingly, Earth's rings might also come with some surprising benefits. Believe it or not, planetary rings might actually offer a few advantages. First, they could act as a natural shield against some space debris. Small asteroids heading toward Earth might collide with ring particles before reaching the planet. Second, rings could help reflect sunlight, slightly cooling the planet. Some scientists have even proposed creating artificial rings to reduce global warming. Instead of launching massive mirrors in space, humanity could potentially create a thin band of reflective particles that block a small percentage of sunlight. Another benefit, rings could become a huge scientific and economic resource. If the rings contained water ice, future spacecraft might mine them for fuel and drinking water. But despite these potential advantages, there are still some serious risks. Living on a ringed planet could make space travel much harder. Satellites orbiting Earth would need to carefully avoid the dense ring region. Launching rockets could become far more dangerous. A spacecraft traveling through the rings at high speed might collide with tiny particles moving thousands of kilometers per hour. Even a pebble hitting a spacecraft at that speed could cause serious damage. And there's another long-term problem. Rings don't last forever. Over time, gravity slowly drags particles downward. Eventually, Earth's rings would begin to rain down onto the atmosphere. Scientists call this process ring rain. For Earth to gain rings, something enormous would have to happen. One possibility is a giant asteroid striking the Moon. The impact could blast huge amounts of debris into orbit around Earth. Another possibility is that a passing asteroid gets torn apart by Earth's gravity, creating a temporary ring system. Interestingly, some researchers think Earth might have had rings billions of years ago during the violent early history of the solar system. Those rings could have eventually clumped together to form the Moon. If Earth had rings today, our planet would instantly become one of the most visually stunning worlds in the solar system. Every sunset would paint glowing colors across a giant arc in the sky. Night skies would be brighter and filled with shimmering reflections. Astronomers and photographers would capture views unlike anything humans have ever seen. From space, Earth would look less like a blue marble, and more like a small version of Saturn. But despite the beauty, those rings could also bring meteor storms, climate shifts, and dangerous space debris. So the real question is this: if humanity someday gained the power to build artificial rings around Earth, would we do it? Or would we decide that our clear blue sky is already perfect? Please like, comment, and subscribe for new interesting facts.